So today I've got some really good news. I got back from my camping trip, looked at my Blizzard client, and turns out I had alpha access, which is awesome because I've spent quite a bit of time just looking over all the changes and getting a feel for the class, and now I'm going to be showing you all and talking to you about what the changes are and how the class plays in the next expansion. So to start off, I'm just going to go through all the standard abilities. I'm going to skip over the talents and go over those later. The first change we've got is the Blackout Kick. It's a 3-second cooldown now, which I'm not a big fan of, and I'll show you why in a second. It also reduces the cooldown of your Sun Kick and Fist of Fury whenever you use it. So Sun Kick and Fist of Fury both still benefit from haste, so their cooldown will go lower pretty much as the expansion goes on. But with more Blackout Kicks means lower cooldowns on your Sun Kicks and your Fist of Furies as well, which is actually pretty nice. It does feel good to use it. However, the 3-second cooldown on Blackout Kick is sort of annoying, and I'll show you why. Because if I go over and hit this target dummy, and I just want to target palm Blackout Kick, I can't because it's on a cooldown. So that kind of leaves a gap in your rotation, a point where you're just sitting back and doing nothing. But the reason why I think they put a 3-second cooldown is maybe because they don't want people to spam Blackout Kicks and reset the cooldown on these just so they can use them earlier. And, you know, just completely neglect the mastery where you're not supposed to repeat an ability. So that could be the reasoning, but still they could make it, you know, like a 2-second cooldown, so that way you can still have no gaps in your rotation, but just prevent people from spamming kicks like that. The next thing is Fist of Fury, which now deals full damage to your main target, but then deals half damage to your off targets, which is how it works in Warlords. So you can see it's hitting him for 1.4k, but it's hitting my off target for 700. And Warlords of Draenor, Fist of Fury did some really hefty damage when you popped it with CDs. It would do full damage to your main target and then half to your off targets. So I'm just hoping that this Fist of Fury change will make it so that Fist of Fury damage on a single target actually feels impactful again, as opposed to Legion where you kind of just throw out the stun just to delay for your next Sun Kick and for your Touch of Death to go off and use it for the CC chain. You know, back in the previous expansions before Legion, Fist of Fury actually did really good damage, and I'm hoping that they bring that back because it honestly felt really good. Next up is Leg Sweep. We've got Leg Sweep baseline now, which is nice. However, it is nerfed to a 1-minute cooldown and a 3-second duration. Now, I wouldn't care about the cooldown, but the stun duration kind of feels a bit, I don't know, clunky, because you leg sweep and then you pop Serenity, and Serenity's on the GCD as well, and then you've only got one global before you have to, assumingly, fist stun. So, you know, how is our burst going to work? Well, I suppose we'll figure it out. But 3-second leg sweep, 1-minute cooldown, we have a baseline, so whatever. But they've also nerfed Paralysis to a 1-minute CD, and I can see that being a problem. I mean, again, this is something they're going to have to test. It might change the playstyle up a bit. You can't use Paralysis recklessly anymore, I suppose. You can't just like throw it out for an interrupt here and there unless it's like going to kill. But we'll see when I start getting into the PvP. However, in compensation for those nerfs, we've got Ring of Peace baseline, which is really good. So we've got Leg Sweep and Ring of Peace. Spinning Crane Kick has been changed a bit. It's now 2 chi down from 3, but it only gives you 10% increased damage for every target you strike, down from 40. However, its damage after you've hit 2 targets is greater than that of Sun Kicks. So this does 2.5k, this does just over 2.4. Now of course you're going to still want a Sun Kick because it puts the mortal wounds effect on your target. But in terms of just raw damage, it actually does more. Not sure if that's, you know, just something I have to tune or whatever, but, you know, that's actually big damage. One of the major benefits about Crane Kick only costing 2 chi is the fact that you can Tiger Palm, then Crane Kick, and then Tiger Palm, and then Crane Kick, and then Tiger Palm, and you never have to use anything in between. If you really got an AoE, you can just do it like that, which is awesome. So I definitely say that this is an improvement over what it was. Despite the nerf to the increase in damage that it gets every time you strike an enemy, the 2 chi cost is, you know, definitely a lot better in terms of a gameplay standpoint. Touch of Death is the same, except now Gale Burst has been put into it. So the gold trait where you would Touch of Death someone and then the damage would increase the more damage you did to them is now just in the game. Touch of Karma is still the same, although I was hoping they'd get, you know, good karma. So if you're wondering if they put good karma in, they didn't. Transcendence is the same, but the Transcendence Transfer is now a 45-second cooldown, which is such a big nerf. That's an added 20 seconds onto what its cooldown is currently, and that's a really big deal because Port is one of those things that keeps you alive so much. Being able to disengage from combat whenever you're in danger, like Trinket Port, or like leave your port on someone else's and then you Transcendence to them, or like you anticipate where they're going to be in a second and you port over to them. You're not going to be able to do that as often, and you're going to have to be really careful with when you use it because it's on such a big CD. Also, we've gotten a new passive. They took this away from rogues and gave it to monks, but that could change. It essentially makes it so whenever you hit a target, you put a debuff on them, which makes them take 5% increased physical damage, which is nice. It definitely is going to have a lot of synergy with other melee on your team. So if you're playing Windwalker DK, Windwalker Ret Pele, something like that, they're going to benefit from Mystic Touch quite a bit. Now, straight off the bat, you can see that this whole tier is new. There's a couple of new talents here and there are some changes to the talents. Level 15 tier, Chi Burst actually generates Chi now. For every target you hit with Chi Burst, it will generate 1 Chi. So if I throw it through these targets, I got 4 Chi from that, which is really powerful considering it is free and a 40-yard range. In terms of like PvP applications, any sort of like melee cleave team or demo lock with a lot of pets, BM hunters, unholy DKs, where you can get a lot of targets hit with this, it'll be amazing. However, it being a Chi generator essentially makes it better than the others by a mile. I think that they need to make Chi Wave generate 1 Chi every time you use it. That way it'll be better for single target, and then Chi Burst equals out to Chi Wave once you've hit 2 targets. Currently I'm okay with this generating Chi. I think that that's a really cool concept and I hope they keep it. The level 30 tier, they actually moved Chi Torpedo from the 30 tier and swapped it. And they swapped it with Healing Elixirs. So this essentially means that you can't run the normal spec of like Tiger's Lust and Healing Elixirs anymore, which is a shame. But you can run new combinations which you didn't have previously. And one of those combinations is Celerity Chi Torpedo. And the reason why this is cool is because every time you Chi Torpedo, right, you get a movement speed increase stacking twice. Once you've stacked it twice, you essentially run at sprint speed. Now, on live, you'll only be able to stack this twice, and then you'll run out because you won't be able to have any more Chi Torpedoes. However, Celerity gives you access to a third Chi Torpedo and lowers the cooldown, and what that means is that you can maintain this speed buff for a really long time. You'll be sacrificing Tiger's Lust for it, but then imagine if you're playing with something like a Holy Pally, where they can just give you freedom and you're sprinting around everywhere. It's quite powerful if you think about it. However, you do sacrifice your elixirs for it, and so that's something that you're going to have to trade off. Another example of the synergy between this is you could run Healing Elixirs and Inner Strength, which is a new talent which gives you like a passive damage reduction. So you can have the passive healing from this plus the passive damage reduction of that, so you can be really tanky. There's a lot of different choices you can make here. It just depends on what comp you're fighting really and what your preferences are. But I don't mind them switching these two around. A lot of people said it was going to be bad, but when you think about it, they're kind of giving you the best of both worlds here. You can run Tiger's Lust and Inner Strength if you need the Root Break, or you can run Celerity, Chi Torpedo if you don't feel like you're going to get trained or you don't need Tiger's Lust. There's just all these choices you can make which previously you wouldn't. You just run Tiger's Lust, Healing Elixirs, and that was it. Next up on the 45 tier, these have all received changes. Energizing Elixir gives you 2 Chi when you use it, down from a full bar, which is a pretty hefty nerf and essentially makes it probably the worst. I have used it and it doesn't feel like it has that much impact on your rotation. Getting a full bar of Chi and a full bar of energy is huge. But it's stronger in Legion because you have a bigger energy bar due to your artifact. But if you run Energizing Elixir, you will only have 100 energy. So the energy regeneration concept of it is weaker than what it is now, and it will only give you 2 Chi. Power Strikes will give you 1 Chi every 15 seconds, which ends up being 4 Chi in a minute, which is better than Elixirs, and it triples the damage of your target palm every time you get the proc, which makes it hit almost as hard as a Blackout Kick, which is pretty nice. I've been enjoying running Ascension. I've never really liked Power Strikes. I just like the consistency of Ascension, and it kind of smooths out your rotation and makes it so that you never really have downtime, and I prefer that. Ascension was never really used in an expansion like WoD because Chi Brew at the time was so good because it gave you on-demand burst, and you really needed that, and running Ascension for the throughput wasn't as valuable. But with the nerf to Energizing Elixir now, Ascension is probably going to be the strongest, maybe Power Strikes, but I think they'd have to buff Energizing Elixir for it to be good. It would still have its place probably in PvP if you need to like instantly get 2 chi to get off a Fist of Fury or something, but with the extra chi generation from Chi Burst and especially Fist of the White Tiger, which is a 3 chi generator, which I'll get into soon, you don't really need it. Honestly, you've got so much chi coming out from all this other stuff, you just don't need it. The throughput of Ascension is just better. Now in the 60 tier, we've got Fist of the White Tiger, which is a 40 energy cost, 30-second cooldown generator, which gives you 3 chi when you use it. It has the same animation as Windlord, and it gives you 3 chi, which is awesome because having a second chi generator, I mean, it kind of works like Expel Harm, minus the healing, and it gives you 3 chi instead of 2. But having that extra generator is great because you can use multiple generators in a row. So if you wanted to get as much chi as possible in one go, you could do like Chi Burst into Fist of the White Tiger, and I've got a full bar. Now of course I did the AoE with Chi Burst and hit multiple targets, but that's still applicable in PvE and in PvP. So don't rule that out of the equation. That's something that can happen. On the side of that, you've got Combo Breaker, which is a cool concept, but doesn't really work out that well because there's a problem with it. You will get a lot of procs when your Sun Kick is about to come off CD again. So like 2 seconds, 1, okay, you didn't get a proc there. Honestly, you never get a proc whenever you're looking for one, it's kind of annoying. Alright, right there, you see? It was on 2 seconds left, and if I literally just Blackout Kicked, I would have been able to Sun Kick right there. But the cooldown reset the moment I was about to just have Sun Kick up anyway. So that proc, which I was just fishing for, went to waste completely. The only time this is going to be good is if you Sun Kick and you Tiger Palm and you get a proc immediately and you Sun Kick again. It's the only time this is going to be good. And it will never have any use in Serenity because you don't Tiger Palm during Serenity to get the proc anyway, so it's just out of the equation. Now, in my opinion, you could make this better. They should make it so the free Blackout Kick you get, when you use that Blackout Kick, it then resets the cooldown of your Sun Kick. So what that would mean is that you can pull the proc, so you can have it ready. I'll try and get a proc just to demonstrate it, but essentially, if you get the proc, that Blackout Kick, you think of it as a Sun Kick reset. So then you can Sun Kick, Blackout Kick to reset your Sun Kick, and then Sun Kick. And, even if you get a proc when your Sun Kick is on 1 second left, the cooldown will only be reset once you use the Blackout Kick, which doesn't have that long of a cooldown anyway, it's only 3 seconds. So what that means is it would have some use in Serenity, because then you can pull a proc before you're getting ready to burst, and then have the Blackout Kick ready, pops your Serenity, Sun Kick, Blackout Kick, which resets Sun Kick, and then Sun Kick again. And then you would get some use out of it during Serenity, and it would be pretty fun to use. So if they do that, I'd be happy, but honestly, as it is, it's just too unreliable. And then you've got Tornado Kicks on the side, which is just a flat 25% increase to your Sun Kick's damage, which has use in both Serenity and Storm Earth and Fire playstyles. And then of course you got Fist of the White Tiger, instead of Tornado Kicks, which is just that big chi generator, which actually hits decently hard. It's only 1.3k, it's about the damage of a Blackout Kick, but the 3 chi generation is the real value. 75 tier, of course, they switched Chi Torpedo with Healing Elixirs here. Still functions the same, Diffuse Magic still the same. And then they replaced Dampen Harm with Inner Strength, which is a stacking damage reduction up to 15%. So for every chi you spend, it will reduce the damage you take, and it kind of works like a constant fall brew in a way. However, it does have one flaw in the sense that if you Fist of Fury with 3 chi, you will not be able to keep the buff up afterwards. Because Fist of Fury channels for 3.4 seconds, leaving you only with 0.6 seconds to get off another global to refresh Inner Strength. If you don't have enough chi to perform a Blackout Kick after the Fist of Fury, the buff will run out. So every time you Fist of Fury, you got to sort of make sure that you have enough chi just to be able to refresh it so that you can keep the buff up. I mean, it's not that big of a deal because it's only 5 stacks, but still, if they buffed it to just last 1 more second, that way you can Tiger Palm after the Fist of Fury and refresh it. So it always stays up if you've got uptime and doesn't fall off during your Fist of Fury periods occasionally. But aside from that, I think that that's fine. I definitely feel like monks needed a passive damage reduction, like a reason to stay in combat. So Inner Strength is kind of bringing, that passive defense back to monks, which I do approve of. For the level 90 tier, hit combo has been nerfed. It works the exact same way, but it will only give you 1% increased damage instead of 2 per stack. Jade Wind is changed. It is now a energy spender, like a passive energy spender, which you just keep up, and you can keep it up for as long as you want, and it will passively take away 4 energy per second. Its damage is, pretty decent as well, 100 every 0.6 seconds. It has good synergy with Serenity, because Serenity will increase its damage, and you can Jade Wind before you go for a burst, and then it's just doing ticking damage while you're doing everything else. And then you've got Zwen, which is now a 2-minute CD and a 20-second duration, instead of a 3-minute CD and a 45-second duration. And its damage is actually not that bad. It does 460 ticking damage, and its melee attacks do, 177, 355 crits. Considering that the Tiger Lightning can crit 1k, if we take a look at my health, I've got 15k health. So if you were to get, all crits with this Tiger Lightning in a period of 15 seconds, I could die. I don't think it's going to do that exact damage on a player, but, if you kind of look at that and think, okay, that's the amount of damage it's doing, it's not bad. And finally, for the 100 tier Serenity, is the same thing. It lasts for 9 seconds, although the reason for that is because it's on the GCD now, which is frustrating because, you leg sweep, Serenity, wait for the GCD, and then you can stun kick. And then, by the time you leg sweep, you Serenity, you've got, 1 second to get off a global, and you have to fist stun, so... the GCD I'm not a big fan of, but it works the same way. They've added a second to its duration to compensate, but I'm not a big fan of the GCD thing. Dragon Punch, still the same concept. Still have to have Sunkick and Fist of Fury on cooldown to use it. Does a decent amount of damage, same thing. Wind Strikes is the replacement for Chi Orbit, and it is literally a replacement of Chi Orbit. It's Chi Orbit 2.0. It's a passive, which deals AoE damage, and it's less than that of Dragon Punch. It is literally Chi Orbit 2.0. If you compare it, Whirling Dragon Punch does 2.6k damage. Wind Strikes does 691, and it procs off your next 3 Tiger Palms. So if we round that up to 700, that does 2.1k damage in the period of 3 Tiger Palms after you Fist of Fury. So 2.1k damage versus 2.6k, Dragon Punch wins. Better for burst, more throughput damage, bigger AoE effect. It's just better. So either buff Wind Strikes or replace it with something else. Now, with every spell covered, with every talent covered, in conclusion, I suppose I could say that the rotation is definitely an improvement over Legions, because, you've got the extra chi generators, you've got, Ascension smoothing out the rotation, you've got cooldown reduction, sun kicks, you've got extra utility with Ring of Peace, you've got a baseline leg sweep, you've got Crane Kick costing less chi, you've got, this new Jade Wind, which you can just have up whenever you want. All in all, it's pretty damn nice, the rotation. Honestly, in the back of my mind, I'm still hoping that they bring things back like Expel Harm, Tiger Eye, stuff like that. But, I can dream. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, let me know, give any feedback, leave your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.